What's up, everybody, and happy new red alert! Stop the video, everyone. Okay, I've got to stop it right there. Don't worry, you'll be back to your regularly scheduled programming in just a second, but I literally, minutes before uploading the video, had to stop it, take it down to add this bit in. What the fuck are they thinking? Boom, big reveal, breaking news. Doctor Who will now air at 8 a.m. What? 8 a.m. on Saturdays. 8 a.m. Saturday 12th. They accidentally revealed the release date because I don't know what they're doing. But after that, now it's the official time they released the release date. We've got some new posters. The posters are cool. What the fuck is this? 8 a.m. release date. How is that worse? How is that worse than the midnight release? That's like objectively, how are they so bad at this? How are they so bad at making this show? I don't understand it. 8 in the morning, bro. How do you make it worse? How do you make it worse? I am going to be. I was about to say I'm not gonna wake up at 8 a.m. for this show, but I am. Because it's my channel, it's what I do, it's my videos. How is this? It's more difficult for me to wake up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday than it is to stay up on a Friday night. Ooh, Saturday's my day off, man. Saturday's my day off, bro. Oh my god. Just fucking kill me. Kill me! Kill me! How are they so bad at this show? They looked at the performance of season 1 and said, yeah, we're just gonna fucking intentionally tank this shit. The time slot for America is 3 a.m. 3 a.m.
Who wants a Krabby Patty at 3 in the morning?
Oh boy, 3 a.m. The jokes fucking write themselves. I guess thanks for listening to me, Russell T Davies, on changing it from midnight to fucking 8 in the morning. 8 hours before the episode airs. If you guys don't realize why this is so bad, no one, or a very small amount of people, are going to be watching it when it actually comes out at 8 o'clock. But what will happen is a bunch of spoilers is thrown out onto everyone's timeline. So the episode is released and every single detail about it is public knowledge for 8 hours before it airs normally. Now, most people won't watch it when it airs normally because it has already been spoiled. There is no urgency. There is no reason for them to tune in. Most people, me excluded, but most people don't organize or schedule their day around Doctor Who. There's no compulsion to watch it, therefore no one will watch it, therefore it will flop. The performance of series 1 or season 1 or whatever the fuck kind of proved that you need to have a simultaneous release date. I mean, it worked with the 60th and the Christmas specials. I don't know why they're not still doing it. There's no momentum for the series now. This halts all possible momentum they could get back. All round terrible news. They're very garbage at organizing this show, but back with the video. I hope you guys can still enjoy it. Just resume. What the fuck was I saying again? Oh yeah! Welcome to 2025, everyone. Is what I would say if it wasn't February. Okay, this is entirely my bad, guys. So what happened? I've got some explaining to do, but don't worry, it won't take very long. My audio got corrupted. Here's a little backstory for you guys, some behind the scenes tidbits. For the first 2 weeks of January, I wasn't really uploading because I was recording videos. I was recording a bunch of videos in bulk that should be releasing pretty soonish. So you guys stay tuned for that. And I did all of that because I wanted to take the second half of the month off because I've been working on that massive video for a long time and I just kind of wanted to take a break from editing just for a teensy little while. I was away from home, I was away from my setup, and I planned to do my editing. I took my computer with me, it took everything with me. I took a little laptop, but as soon as I reached where I'm at, I checked my laptop, I checked my audio, and it sounds like this. What's up, everybody, and happy new year! Which is very annoying, as you can imagine, because that's basically a month wasted. So I'm re-recording everything. I hope you guys still enjoy the video. I guess this was meant to come out 2 to 3 weeks ago, but I did update it with some extra news and stuff, so I hope you will enjoy. Anyway, let's get back to the video. It has been over a month now since the Doctor Who Christmas special, and boy, oh boy, have I had time to think about it. I have rewatched it quite a few times so far, both in full and specific scenes, and even with the commentary, and my opinions have evened out to the point where I'm pretty sure I'm able to say where I stand, and I'm pretty sure I know where you will stand too, because yes, welcome back guys to another community community reaction video. And this time I've got a new twist on it, okay? This may seem a bit weird to do a community reaction like 2 months after the episode came out. But anyway, the new format on all of these videos will start with me giving my overall thoughts on the episode after it's had a little bit of time to settle. Then I will transition into the general polls, the one that all of you guys did. And then I will pick out 4 different comments to go really in depth in that I think really summarize the common sentiment that I see in all of the comments overall. But then right after that, don't worry, I still want to include as many comments as humanly possible throughout the video. So in the lower third, I will be putting other comments so that everyone is included. And the community reaction of the fandom is catalogued, so no one gets left out, but at the same time, the video isn't quite as monotonous and it's not just all me reading comments for about 2 hours. So with all that said, let's move on to the video. What are my thoughts on Joy to the World? Hooray, Joy to the World. I think it's good. I suppose I should probably add some context to my tastes as a reviewer. Am I a reviewer? I consider myself more of a fan, a DW fan, if you'd like. But anyway, my thoughts on RTD2 are a little complex. When it was first announced that Rusty Davies would be coming back, I was cautiously optimistic. I thought him doing the 60th was a good idea, but him taking back the whole show for the seasons following was troubling. Ironically, in retrospect, I was far more critical of the 60th anniversary and thought it was a rocky start, and then bloody loved season 1, so there goes all that. Thank you, Doctor Who, hand me that I'm wrong award. But anyway, the reasons I was cautious are the same reasons why I see a lot of people around me not so much connecting with it. You could say I predicted it. Those reasons being, it's just the same old. There's not much new. No new directions that are really groundbreakingly exciting. Nothing much that's daring or shaking up the formula. It's all very familiar. We know all of the kids' tricks. It feels like the show is sort of chugging along, which, to be fair, it shouldn't really. So quickly after a reboot, we are not even a full year on from season 1, and yet it feels like it's just kind of been here for a while. Am I the only one? Not so much that the appeal of all of the new stuff has disappeared, at least not for me. But come on, man, we know Russell T Davies, we know how he approaches this stuff. It's almost burnout, to be honest. And so I don't really have an issue with anyone who isn't enjoying this era as much as I am. Although I do find it funny how some people were saying stuff like, I'd rather have old and reliable than new and maybe bad, and then they get just totally proven wrong. Yes guys, for Doctor Who, 9 times out of 10, it is better to take a risk on something new than go for the old reliable. But I suppose you just forgot that, lol. But yeah, with all that said, I am still enjoying the new era. Putting the 60th aside, because while there were some elements I loved, I could really go in depth in how there was just how disappointing that trilogy was. There were some core issues with the fundamentals there that I think hold it back from being as good as it possibly could be. But moving on to season 1, series 14, I mean, I can't lie. I think this is a very solid, good, in fact great series of Doctor Who. I mean it. I think it is great. A lot of the common criticisms levied at it just don't matter to me. The episodes themselves are very well polished, well structured, fun, entertaining episodic adventures. Some go really experimental, some go really hard in other ways. The Devil's Cord is by all accounts the perfect way to do a conventional, in quotation marks, episode of Modern Who. It's the Modern Who format. We're not really changing much, we're not really reinventing the wheel, but it's done so well. It's basically a quintessential episode of the show, in my opinion. Boom and 73 Yards I've already spoken on at length, but they're straight up 10s in my book. And Dot and Bubble too. That episode is a surprising masterpiece. Yeah, I'll stick to that. It is really goddamn good. I think about it quite a lot, actually. It's poignant, pressing, and well, I don't really know what more to say. It's good. So now you know how I feel about the series. Let's go over some criticisms and see how we feel about them. Valid, not valid, trash, or pass. Number 1. The 8-episode format. I feel like this is the most pressing issue against the show, and sadly isn't something that's in the creatives' control. We all want more Doctor Who. If we all had a magic wand to make more, hell yeah we would, but it just doesn't work like that. I see a lot of people saying, oh, just turn the graphics down and then we'll make more episodes. That's not how it works. That being said, I do understand the apprehension towards Ultra HD. I mean, to 90% of screens, no one's gonna notice, and it does make a massive difference in how efficient and effective and all of that it can all be. It also makes the show look a lot better and is slowly becoming the industry norm, which is almost a shame in a way. Eventually, it will become the norm to the point where it's not quite as expensive anymore. But it is a shame that modern TV seems so ashamed to be TV. It's moving away from what makes TV so goddamn great. I know that some people look down on soap operas and game shows and all of that tacky stuff in quotation marks. But television is great, and it's a dying art form, and slowly we're seeing Doctor Who shift away from that and try to be something more cinematic, which I suppose the series manages to achieve, but it's more of a fundamental criticism rather than one based on the actual application of it. I think a lot of people would agree with me when I say that while this new Doctor Who does indeed look good, and it does, it really does, it doesn't actually need to look good. That's not why we liked it. Now, that doesn't mean Doctor Who should look bad. These are not the only two options, right? Looks good or looks bad. And it's not like it's a gauge where it's like, okay guys, tone down the visuals and the script gets better. Obviously, that's not how that works. But it's more from an in-baked into the format of the series, being 8 episodes, being a premium BBC Disney Plus event. It's trying to be more cinematic than televisual, and as fans of television shows, we prefer the style that's more true to Doctor Who's core. Maybe Doctor Who could work as a movie series, but I have always thought it works best as a TV show. I mean, it's the best TV show of all time. Even the switch from SD to HD in 2009 drastically switched up how difficult it was to make the show, and now we're in Ultra HD. I understand that this is becoming the norm for television, but it is a shame that modern TV seems so ashamed to be TV. Criticism number 2. Space Babby's bad. No. Space Babby's good. Okay, it's been quite a long time now, and I still don't know what people have against this episode. Is it just the fact that babies are in it? Is that literally it? It's been almost a year, and I still have not heard a good reason as to why this episode is the least popular of all time. I like it. I don't give a fuck. I went in ready to be critical. I literally can't even force myself to see how it's supposedly so bad. People will pull the tiniest of nitpicks out of their ass. It just completely bounces off of me. I don't care. I think it's good. And critique number 3, finale no likey. Okay, this one's fair. Again, I don't think Empire of Death is necessarily that bad. Unlike others who want to act like it ruins the whole series or is in any way a contender for worst finale of all time. Bro, I don't want to hear anyone telling me that Death in Heaven is better than Empire of Death. If you actually think that, rewatch Death in Heaven. Rewatch it right now and tell me what it has over Empire of Death. I'm waiting, okay? But yeah, Empire of Death is still a massively flawed episode. Here's a little peek behind the scenes, guys. If you want to know how they make Doctor Who, this is how it works. Usually, the series gets commissioned or has already been commissioned. In this case, it was the First Order, that would be the specials, Series 1 and Series 2. And so a man like the kid Russell T Davies starts thinking / has already thought of a few ideas for the series. He writes a small series of synopses, loglines / taglines for each of the episodes in the series, such as 1x1, Space Babbies, basic idea, etc. 1x2, Regency, Bridgerton episode includes Rogue, etc. 1x3, Landmine episode, Stephen Moffat, etc. And he sends these out to the production team and everyone so that they can get a head start knowing more or less on the stuff that they're going to need to prepare. Then he'll have an internal deadline for when the scripts need to be done for each episode. So for 73 Yards, it was probably sometime early 2023, like really early, or maybe like late 2022, I don't know. The kid probably procrastinates for a bit, types it up, sends it in, boom! Work starts on the episode. And his deadline is usually the start of production. Obviously, some cases the script is done late, like Fires of Pompeii. The script wasn't finished even though they were in Rome, so they had to shoot scenes, and then they had to email Rusty Davies, can you send us the script please? And he would send more of the script and stuff like that. But all of this means that writing the finale only happens when we're really like halfway through working on the series. Let's provide some context so you can understand how that works. Space Babies was the 3rd or 4th episode made in Series 14. I can't remember off the top of my head. This is because 73 Yards and Don't Bubble were the first block, if you recall, because Shooty Guy was somewhere, blah blah blah. But anyway, included in that episode was Lenny Rush. At the read-through of that episode, Russell T Davies decided it would be cool to bring him back at unit in the finale, meaning that episodes 7 and 8 hadn't been written by the time that they were having their 3rd or 4th read-through. Infamously, Susan Twist was cast before the kid even had an idea of who she was playing. And just so so everyone is all caught up. This is not new for Series 14. As an example, Catherine Tate as Donna was cast before T. Dizzle had any idea what the story entailed or what the character's name was, and he famously made up the name when they were having lunch together, just off the top of his head. Similarly, Kylie Minogue was pitched Voyage of the Damned before anyone had any idea what the story would look like. And actually, it was that pitch that Rusty Davies gave her when they had lunch that actually influenced the direction the story would go. The only series where the finale wasn't the last thing to be written when it comes to Rusty Davies would be Series 2, because they made the decision to film those stories earlier. But usually, these things came down to the wire. Just an extra little bit of context here if you're wondering, the 4 Cyberman stories were shot in one block in Series 2, which was a nightmarish hellscape, and there's a reason why they never did that again. And The Impossible Planet and The Satan Pit were actually the last 2 episodes to be finished in Series 2, and famously there's that story where those episodes were finished just 10 minutes before transmission. That's how down to the wire it got, which is why I believe that that was likely the case here too. I think Empire of Death was a pretty hodgepodge script, in that when I read it, I thought, yeah, he's rushing to get this shit out. I can imagine him despairing behind the computer, just being like, write anything down, man, just write anything down. And surprisingly, Shutagawa really manages to bring it to life, because if we are talking about what's strictly on the page, it's a little dry. Production on this episode was strained, and it's a miracle it comes out as polished as it did despite this. It was cinema ready, seriously. Sometimes you watch these stories on the big screen and you think, okay, it's good, but that was made for TV. But this one, good or a bad thing, it did do well. But yeah, a lot of really cool and awesome stuff was cut, and yes, a lot of really dumb stuff stayed in. But I think the telltale signs of the fact that this was a lastminute.com masterclass from the kid is the fact that in Doctor Who, or at least in modern Doctor Who, okay, there is one rule regarding the solutions of stories, and that one rule involves the TARDIS. Namely, that can't be it. You can't just win the day by using the TARDIS. It feels cheap, it feels unearned, and that it does, but sadly there is no other way to win the day here, so we've got to break that rule, smash glass in case of emergency, and the Doctor just uses the TARDIS to win. Goodbye, hooray! That's probably the biggest one, but another noticeable hiccup is the TARDIS beam, invented for this one episode and never again. Harbinger can somehow use the TARDIS to create a beam to pull individuals through time and space. Sure, stuff like that is the telltale sign of, I've just gotta write anything down, bruh. Just get me to the next scene. He's clearly like, how the fuck do I get all these people in the same room? TARDIS beam! But for me, the thing that just kills this episode dead is that 15-minute epilogue sequence. Oh my god, it is so boring. Kill me! Kill me! Motherfuckers really say, oh, Russell T Davies, he's really good at this. Then how come I'm bored as fuck? You see this a lot with reviewers who just regurgitate the same shit. They're like, that scene in Empire of Death where Ruby meets her mom, that's really good because Russell T Davies is really good at that stuff. No the fuck he ain't. Mr. T Davies' highlight was never this boring family drama bollocks. I could never give a shit, never. This stuff is boring and I don't care about it. Do you know what parts of his era that I did like? That's the shit that I did like.
Attacks to weaponry! Firepower restored!
That's the shit I liked. Those are the highlights. That is what he did well. Spending 15 minutes talking about, I'm your mom, I'm your daughter. Ain't nobody give a fuck. You could condense this all down to like 3-4 minutes easily. And then we could spend more time on the fun stuff, like Sutek, who is the highlight of this episode. The other stuff is actually cool enough for me to still enjoy the episode, but I will not deny that it does have problems. The one issue that I take with this criticism though is the idea that it somehow taints the rest of the series because the mystery box didn't have a good enough resolution. Spoiler alert, fuckers, the mystery box never has a good enough resolution. The best one was probably Harold Saxon. That one was pretty good, but the rest were fucking dog. The reason why I don't mind the mystery box so much, outside of the fact that I can point and laugh and say, told you so, is the fact that, believe it or not, now you guys might point and laugh at me now, but the twist is thematically resonant. I know, but it is thematically resonant. Yes, Series 14, in a meta way, is all about stories. This is why I personally really like it. This is why I personally think it's really clever. What a clever man. Space Babies, outside of being a fun, adventurous romp about a space station with babies, is also a story talking about stories. The story of the bogeyman is what created the literal bogeyman. The babies act like they do because they are following the stories that they have been told. The Doctor tells them the story of who he is, and that is what compels him to save the bogeyman at the end. Similarly, The Devil's Chord is also about stories. The Beatles stories, the stories music tells, and of course our second hint at the wider meta story with the Maestro, breaking the fourth wall, which is the second time that they've done that if you include Mrs. Flood. Boom is all about faith, aka the stories that we tell. The soldiers believe the story that there are enemies on the planet because why else would they be fighting if there wasn't an enemy? Sound familiar? The father tells stories to his daughter, which is the reason why he can then save the day. Antelope. And 73 Yards is again one of those meta stories, this time about folk tales, how these stories have power. We still need to see how 73 Yards connects to next year, but I'm sure you guys can see what I mean and make the connections to stories for yourselves. Dot and Bubble is another story that subverts. Noticing a theme, are we? The residents of Fine Time believe the story that they are told to a fault. And of course, linking this all back to the finale, the reason for the snow throughout the season is the power of Ruby's story. As Harbinger says, it's all very Dickensian. The figure in the snow, cloaked in mystery, and so much mystery that Sutek will destroy everything just to figure her out. I'm not the first person to put forward the idea that Sutek represents the audience, and then it turns out it's not as important as all that. The snow came from how strong the story was, which is why I think that Mrs. Flood is the god of stories, and I think that's what's going to be revealed in Series 15. Boom, theory time. Bet you guys didn't see that coming. The church on Ruby Road starts with a storybook introduction from the Doctor, and Empire of Death ends with a storybook epilogue from Mrs. Flood. She also lives right next to Ruby and breaks the fourth wall. I mean, I'm prepared to be wrong here, guys, but overall, yeah, I like Series 14. But what about Joy to the World? Oh yeah, I seem to have forgotten about that. It's okay. Similarly to Rogue, another episode which I didn't talk about much, this episode doesn't really have a lot of meat on the bone. To sound pretentious for a second, it's not very deep. What you see is pretty much what you get, and it has good bits and it has bad bits. I think the middle is very strong, the end is pretty weak, and the opening is okay. But I think what this episode lacks more than anything is a concrete identity. Regardless of whether or not you think Church on Ruby Road is a better episode, that story has a very clear-cut identity, something very intuitive and something that sets it apart from all others. It's the Goblin Ship, it's 2023 Christmas, it's introducing Ruby, the new Doctor, and of course that beautiful visual of the titular church on Ruby Road. And at first glance, you would think that the identity of Joy to the World would be the Time Hotel. It's on all the posters, it's in all the marketing, but we actually spend most of our time away from it, chilling with Anita, in a story that is much more interesting and compelling. But the story is split at its core. These two parts of the story don't really fit together, not in a plot sense, but in a feelings sense. The two halves are jarring and don't quite fit. Both would be good episodes individually, with the Anita one being considerably better, in my opinion, but together, they both come out as less than the sum of their parts. Strangely, I feel like this episode could have stuck the landing with the abrupt switch up to being about Anita and staying for the year, but only if it didn't switch back. If it switched and then committed to that switch, the episode's identity would be the fake out episode. We baited you all. You all thought it would go one way, but actually it went the other, and that would have been great. In fact, it would have tied in to the overall themes of Series 14, but instead, it simply takes a large break to go on this very enjoyable, to be fair, tangent, and then takes us right back to the other story, like it isn't a massive step down. The character of Joy is a plot device. She doesn't really work, and her ending is weird and clunky, and and just takes from the end of Runaway Bride. This is all stuff that's been said before. Additionally, one could nitpick and say, I've been to a million hotels that haven't had that door. Or, hang on, that room isn't too bad actually, I'd stay there. And those would be all well and good criticisms, but I think the main issue with the episode is its cracked identity. You fix that and it feels more whole. Now, it's not a bad episode, not by any means, but I don't think it is quite as excellent as it could be. To balance out all of my negativity, I feel like I should give praise to where it's due. Shutigawa, as always, is amazing. This might be his best performance in the show so far. He has some excellent comedy moments. The sequence where the countdown is closing on the briefcase is a standout, as is the split screen, which they showed twice, each from different perspectives of each of the Doctor. I like the bit where he closes the door and he hears himself through it, and of course all of the sequences with Anita are very nice. But let's hear what you guys thought. Finally, it's time we get to the community part of this community reaction video. I hope you guys are not bored out of your minds. Hopefully this isn't the most disappointing comeback since I can't even think of a funny joke. That's how lackluster this video is, people. Don't forget to leave a like. The poll came in with 18% voting amazing, 50% voting good, 24% choosing alright, and 8% going with bad. As a poll guru, I can safely tell you that these results are okay. 8% bad is about the same level as Rogue, which is about where I'd put this episode too. They seem to be on that same level. I did like Rogue as well, and it's just a little below last year's result as well. Overall, not half bad. The first comment I wanted to highlight today is from Robin Spellbinder, who said that the suitcase is a metaphor for the pandemic. It gets passed from person to person, and the weirdly positive spin on Joy's death is meant to be acceptance of the terrible thing that happened to us. I think this is a really good comment, and I really like the reading of what the suitcase represents. I am a little bit more cynical though. I don't necessarily think that you have to be joyful or hopeful about a pointless loss of life. I mean, there isn't really a happy spin to this story, I'm sorry to say. It wasn't really natural, it wasn't really caused by anyone. There's no one to be angry at. It just sort of happened. To get existential for a moment, I personally don't believe in an afterlife. I also don't really buy into the idea that just because it's Christmas, we all have to buy into that or lie or make uncompelling dramas because, oh, it's Christmas, everyone. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. I think my main problem with the sequence is that it just isn't true. But even putting aside that, and I'm thinking of the kid audience here, this ending in general is very talky. There's lots of dialogue. There's gonna be lots of kids watching. They simply don't understand the dialogue. So if you are gonna be putting the dialogue in, right, at least make it make sense. This seems like a random observation to just throw in here because it's not really relevant to anything I'm saying, but I've been thinking about this for a very long time with Doctor Who, for about 2 or 3 years now. But the best Doctor Who works best when you can kind of just ignore the dialogue. That sounds really cheap and dumb and lazy, but if you hear me out, it actually makes sense, right? A lot of the audience for Doctor Who are people who can't speak English, and that isn't meant to be a judgment call or anything like that. It's simply a fact that a lot of the kids who are watching can't really speak English, and a lot of the international audience can't really speak English, right? And so the show has to be compelling and exciting and also make sense without the need for lots of dialogue and exposition. Maybe there'll be a certain subset of the audience watching who don't really understand what I mean, but I think a big problem with the ending to this episode is that it's a lot of people talking about stuff that doesn't really make a lot of sense, isn't very intuitive, and not a lot happening on screen. So it's like the worst of both worlds. As this comment says, I suppose the idea that Joy dies is sweet. Except it's not really, it's horrible. And the fact that it's portrayed as sweet is disconcerting. Just give up is the message that I take away from it, and hopefully that wasn't the intended messaging. This kind of ties into the idea of idealism versus realism, and of course fiction does not always have to be realistic. In fact, the idea of things being realistic or unrealistic, especially in films or televisions or anything, can actually be largely limiting and inaccurate. But what I mean when I say it is that the characters have to act well, if not how people would, how they would. And the world of the story has to follow at least some internal logic. Things become idealistic when the voice of God, aka the writer, pulls the strings and makes characters act out of character, similarly to when the Pharaoh had his heart hardened by God. Joy, at the end of this story, doesn't act like a person, or how she was previously established to act, and instead she kind of just acts as a mouthpiece for whatever the writer wants to say. Hope good, religion good, faith good, doctor you need someone, etc, etc. The reason the moment doesn't hit, whereas the end of The Runaway Bride does, arguably, is because this feels like a natural conclusion for Donna to reach, and this just feels like the writer has mind controlled her to say this. In fact, I don't even know for sure if she isn't mind controlled at this moment. I'm pretty sure she is. The episode ends with Villain Guard winning. Joy says this is bigger than them, but that line still implies that they win. But let's say, even if they cannot directly profit from the star for whatever reason, sci-fi gobbledygook, who cares? The star influences the creation of religion, specifically the papal mainframe, because this star creates the church. And as we see in Boom a few episodes ago, the papal mainframe are the main people who buy from Villain Guard. So there's just no way that this isn't them winning. So why is it portrayed as a good thing? Am I missing something? Why is Ruby looking off at this star with her $30 haircut? Is she mind controlled too? Let me know your theories in the comment section below. Anyway, the next post is from Hudson Media, friend of the channel. He says that the handling of the subject matter of the pandemic was done really well, and similarly I agree. From talking negative to talking positive, I think this part of the episode was done very nicely. Again, this is because while the subject matter is touchy and ugly, I will always take an ugly truth over a convenient lie. Hard-hitting, confrontational, and honest. The reason these scenes work is because the Doctor actually calls Joy out, says the quiet part out loud, which is, isn't it silly that we listen to a bunch of tosspots who were blatantly making shit up as they went along? Of course, the counter to that would be some of those rules were rather sensible, and then the counter to that would be the fact that they were enforced on us but not on others is more than troubling. I think that the fact the episode went through these stages and not ham-fistedly, at least not in my opinion, is a very impressive thing. It was a very compelling thing. It's one of my favorite parts of the episode. And as always, I am not saying that Doctor Who has a moral duty to tackle these topics, but I think that when writers are able to talk about what they want to talk about, and they do it well, we as the audience always get more to chew on. We are the real winners. Next up, from Stel Maria MX, loved it when the Doctor went the long way round. Anita was honestly the best part of this episode. I 100% agree. Anita as a character was instantly likable, instantly relatable, well-rounded, kind, pleasant, hardworking, and her bond that she developed with the Doctor was completely adorable. I saw a comment saying that this relationship was a good example of a platonic relationship. Now I definitely feel like I'm going crazy. How is this not romantic? Usually I'm the one who's bad at picking up the clues, but first it's the Doctor and Ruby, and now this shit was definitely meant to be romantic, guys. Also, if you guys think that the 15th Doctor and Ruby were platonic just because the actors are, bruh, look at the body language. She literally says she loves it. I don't give a fuck, bruh. Keep in mind, this is the fan base that thinks the 9th Doctor and Rose is platonic. That's a new level of blindness. You just gotta completely ignore everything that happens in the series at that point. But anyway, the sequence captured something we haven't seen in Doctor Who for a little while, and I did think it was special. Almost like a reverse 73 yards. That isn't as sad or ultra depressing. Now, if I had to nitpick outside of course, the why don't you go to Ruby's? Why don't you go to Unit? I think the main problem with all of this is, what do you mean you haven't done this before? You've done it like a million times. The giggle 10 episodes ago. Please acknowledge this character. Why am I the weird one for asking the show to recognize its main character? The ending to the giggle is one of the worst moments in this entire program, and the fact that they keep ignoring it unironically makes it worse. Surely they realize that the longer this arc remains unfinished, the worse it makes everything around it. The 14th Doctor is just chilling, doing nothing, not being acknowledged. Why does he exist? Maybe it's my fan brain for caring about the core basic fundamental world building of a TV show. Okay, each era of the show is self-contained, right? I can't expect Stephen Moffat to remember everything that Robert Holmes did. Hell, I can't even expect him to remember everything that Russell T Davies did. And that is fine, okay? That's fine to an extent, as long as it's internally consistent with his own stories. That's what matters. Same with the Chibnall era and same with the Russ T Davies era. For example, in Wild Blue Yonder, they say that half of the universe is destroyed by the Flux. Now, technically speaking, that half of the universe was reverted by the Ravagers and is technically not destroyed, but I don't care because they weren't his episodes, right? They're not his responsibility. What I do care about is if you just start your era with a trilogy of specials that we're all just supposed to forget about. How? Like, how can I forget about the 14th Doctor? Like, every time we go back to present day Earth, I'm thinking about him. In the church on Ruby Road, I was like, why isn't he here? In 73 Yards, I was like, why isn't he here? In Empire of Death, I was like, why isn't he here? Please, can just someone say a single line. Just drop a little bone for me, okay? He disappeared. Not heard from him in a while. Like, damn, bro, it's not that hard. The ending to The Giggle is straight up character assassination too, because every version of the Doctor, including Ncuti Gatwa, by the way, literally cannot settle down like he did. They can't, simply because it is actual torture to them. The 15th Doctor spent his whole time there waiting to get back out. In a way, it was his penance. That's why he explodes at himself. That's why he just stands there and takes it. The 10th Doctor specifically just went on and on and on about how horrible it would be to settle down. And now he settles down. I'm sorry, bro. I can't let this go. For the same reason Joy to the World's ending rubs me the wrong way, the ending to The Giggle, it's just never gonna leave my head. Bringing it back to that idealism versus realism thing, it's like a picture perfect fantasy and it's all anyone's ever wanted. Except it's definitely not. I don't think I'm ever gonna forget about this shit. It's been like 2 years, bro. Disgusted enough. Let's move on. Justice for my man Trev. This guy gets it. And now let's talk about season 2. This video has been a blend of positive and negative. So to balance it all out, let's end the video by looking forward and spoiler alert, holy shit. I am so excited. Words legitimately let me down. Series 15 looks to be the best series of Doctor Who since series 5. And I'm not saying that lightly. Everything looks incredible to me. But let's start with the new companion. Belinda Chandra, played by the ever-perfect Varada Sethu. Oh my. Damn, that's what I'm fucking talking about. As you guys know, if you have been paying attention to the channel, I am the #1 member of the Varada Sethu fan club. I made the club. I am the club. I'm the #1 fan. We out here, okay? I'm all in. And Jesus Christ, can we talk about the fits? Damn, stunning on them, bruh. Poor Ruby. She gets left out. What the hell is that? I gotta do a video talking about the Doctor Who outfits because some of the ones in this new era have been fucking fire, man. Ncuti Gatwa looks dope as always. My goat, my Doctor. And holy shit, am I crazy or is this the coolest thing I've ever seen? We got Cuphead up in here. I mean, literally, it literally looks just like it. The clip shown in Unleashed looks really promising as well. That same upbeat RTD opener style as before. I'm just along for the ride, man. Don't do me dirty, please. The Robot Revolution, I'm pretty sure it's called. These two robots look like the Sarah Jane Adventures or dinosaurs on a spaceship. That stuff from Miami, which we saw a hell of a long time ago. Damn, it looks awesome. I mean, just everything in this trailer looks amazing. The alien planets. Is this underwater? I didn't think it was. It looked like a quarry to me. Kind of like Utopia or Impossible Planet. But I was talking to my brother. He said to him it looked like it was underwater. What do you guys think? I don't think it's underwater. And then of course my beloveds at UNIT are back. I'm glad that they're not being left in the dust. This new era has really started making me care about Kate Stewart for the first time. And with the spin-off this year too, things for her are really looking up in the world. Ruby is there with her. What did they do to you, Ruby? Look how they massacred my girl. Now I am no haircut expert. If you guys saw me in real life, you'd realize I'm fucking hideous. You'd hit me with the, oh my goodness!
Squidward!
But Millie Gibson, I mean, everyone on Doctor Who looks great, okay? It's Attack of the Supermodels over here. Literally everyone involved is a 10 on the Richter scale. But, I mean, this, right, I would, like, what did they do to your hair? It's like my fucking haircut out here. Is this like a bowl cut or something? She's like 20, right? They're trying to make her look older, more mature. I mean, I suppose it's working. She somehow looks older than the old version of herself from 73 Yards. I guess they heard people saying that it's impossible to make 19-year-old Millie Gibson look 40 and said, bet. I feel like I'm a fucking misogynist. What am I doing? Attacking this beautiful woman's looks. What? You look great, okay? You look great. Better than me. Not a high bar. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Unit coming back. We got Unit at night. That's the difference. It's cool as fuck. This wind is really atmospheric. Something snuck into the tower. What's really exciting me about this is the fact that this seems to be from the mid-series and not even the finale, which means that a finale level event is happening halfway through the series. What's gonna happen? Someone told me it's something to do with Ruby's boyfriend called like Brandon or like Cameron or like Jeff. That could be fucking bullshit. I also don't think that these are Daleks, sadly, but I hope they are. I do love the Daleks. A dream come true would be Ncuti Gatwa getting to have a go, meeting the Daleks. I mean, why not, man? How about this, right? Rusty Davies, let me pitch you an idea, right? How about this one? Daleks on Canal Street. Just call me, bro. Just call. I'm right here. By the way, fun fact, the thing I was most looking forward to when Russell T Davies came back was the Dalek stories. Then he promised not to make any of them, so what does that say about me? My main hope is for Series 15 to dovetail with Series 14, making a complete 16, 17, 18 episode arc. I just want them to combine, okay, to make a really nice solid run of Doctor Who. I think with the addition of Series 15, it will retroactively make people like Series 14 more. Because they were made together, I imagine they work well together too. And also, I think with a bit of time, people will be able to look back and truly see how good Series 14 was. There was a lot of thought and effort being put into those stories there, and they really are quite good. I think it only being 8 episodes kind of makes it hard for people to see the trees from the forest or vice versa, but when there's a bit more to get lost in, it will greatly benefit both series in my opinion. Kind of like a part 1 and part 2, if you catch my drift, which would fit because we're likely going on a couple-year break after this anyway, but that's a topic for a whole different video. Speaking of which, now's about time where I say thank you to everyone for supporting the channel. 2024 was an incredible year, and I cannot thank all of you enough for watching every video, liking and subscribing. To everyone on the Discord server, you guys keep the show going. And just like I said in there, I am committed to making sure that 2025 is even better. Last year I uploaded 40 videos, and I pray that this year I will be able to far eclipse that. 2025 is gonna be massive, okay? Watch this space. There's gonna be a new series, of course, hopefully near March. I don't mind a bit later. And then after that, there's gonna be the new spin-off, the war between the Tulong and Tidal. But that looks absolutely epic, and I genuinely can't wait. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the ending epilogue DW Fan 91 extravaganza. Let's talk about Series 15 a little more, people. So as I mentioned earlier, a lot of my audio got messed up in this video. I hope it was still good. I took the time to record large amounts of it, and now I'm going to be adding a little bit more because we just got the news of 4 new writers for Series 15, which means that we've got 5 new writers, I'm pretty sure, for this series. 5 out of 8 episodes, meaning that this time half of the series will be written by quote-unquote new blood. So what are my thoughts? I've got the press release right here. Let's go through it. Let's give my thoughts on everyone involved. First of all, I do think it is a good thing that new writers are getting involved. It's a bit weird for me to say this because obviously for them, they've been involved since 2022. It's been 2 or 3 years from their perspective. So when all of the discussion or discourse or whatever you want to call it around Series 14 or Season 1 or whatever was coming out and people were saying, oh, Russell T Davies, he's taking all of this for himself, where are the new writers? They all had to stay silent about the fact that they were new writers. Bit weird. I do think though that we should give props to Doctor Who when it does stuff that's good. The reason why 7 out of 8 episodes last series were written by Rusty Davies, I'm pretty sure he said this was because he gets paid per commission. So obviously he's going to commission himself the most to make money. That is his job. It's a fair enough reason for me. But still, I think at this point it should be a priority to get as many new people on screen as possible, if not just to test. This is the first time in a very long time where there is no clear successor for the show. If you've been keeping up with Doctor Who's history since 2008 or before, you would know that the biggest issue to Doctor Who's success is that there's going to be no one to pick up the mantle by the time the current creatives leave. Of course there was the COVID scare, but the main thing that was bothering Chris Chibnall and forcing him to stay on longer than he probably wanted to was the fact that there was no one he knew that was going to take over the program. Similarly, Stephen Moffat had to stay for, 3 or 4 extra years because they didn't really know who was going to take over, and if he left, the show would just end. And of course, Russell T Davies, I mean, they were thinking of just ending the show there before Stephen Moffat agreed to take it on. And now we're at a point in Russell T Davies 2. I mean, imagine this series only had 1 new writer. That means that for the whole of this era, there would have only been 4 writers. But now that we've gotten a few more writers, hopefully, if they are going to be doing series, if not specials going forward, they try and not just let Russell T Davies do all of them. I think a big priority should be trying to find the next generation of people who want to run the show. And even just sidestepping away from that, it's always a breath of fresh air when we get a new perspective, new people showing their voice in Doctor Who, even if, now, sorry to burst everyone's bubbles here, people, but every single episode of this series, even though it has new writers' names on them, they are all still written by Russell T Davies. Yeah, this is a kind of mind-shattering moment, but Russell T Davies does rewrite everyone's scripts. So the final draft, the one that goes off to be shot, is always entirely written by Russell T Davies. He gives the brief, so he gives the idea to the writer writes up a bunch of stuff, and then at the very end, Russell T Davies reads their scripts and then just rewrites it. And that's how that works. That's how it worked for all of series 1 to 4. That's presumably how it worked with Stephen Moffat, and that's presumably how it worked with Chris Chibnall as well. I'm sure you're all aware of the fact that even though The Impossible Planet and The Satan Pit and Human Nature and Family of Blood, they've got different writers' credits on them, they are entirely written by Russell T Davies, and he regrets not putting his name on them. However, here's a fun fact for you guys. There are only 2 writers to which Russell T Davies admitted that he doesn't touch the scripts of. There were 2 people. Guess who they are? Yes, they are Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall. Those are the only 2 writers which he does not feel the need to have to rewrite from scratch. So all of the Stephen Moffat episodes in the Russell T Davies era and the Chris Chibnall episodes are actually written by them. But yeah, all of that waffle out of the way, let's talk about the new writers. What do I think, guys? Number 1, Juno Dawson. Juno Dawson is a #1 Sunday Times best-selling novelist, screenwriter, and journalist. But we all know her from the Doctor Who podcast, which I thought she was great on. And I remember when I watched that, there were a lot of comments, including my own, saying it should be great to have in the actual show, which is funny because at that point, she already was in the actual show. We just didn't know. If you were unaware, which I imagine most of you are, Juno Dawson also did this audio series called Doctor Who Redacted. They keep calling it a podcast, which gets confusing because she was also on the actual Doctor Who podcast, and people call Redacted, oh, it's the Doctor Who podcast. It's not a podcast. I don't know why people keep calling it a podcast. It is a fictional drama, entirely scripted, and if you're unaware of what Redacted was, it is an in-universe group of friends who are making a show set inside the Doctor Who universe where things are randomly disappearing from time. It was one of the first things to release after the Chibnall era, and Jodie Whittaker just came back. So she literally left on the show and then she immediately came back to do Doctor Who Redacted. It's kind of like Linda, Love of Monsters type thing. If you point a gun to my head and ask me what I thought it was just okay. To be honest, I didn't actually think it was that amazing. To be fair, my expectations were really high because it was the first post Doctor Who thing that Jodie Whittaker did as the Doctor, you know what I mean? Like immediately after Power of the Doctor, she came back and did this, so I was excited to see, and I thought it was just okay. I mean, Jodie Whittaker wasn't actually in it that much, and I don't remember the names of any of the other characters, so what does that say about that? Either way, I think this is a definite win. I think Juno Dawson is a great writer. I also think she's a great presence in the fandom. It's a bit of a shame that she won't be able to do the podcast now because she's a writer. I mean, maybe she will, but I really like her judgment. I really like her stuff. I think she's a great choice. Moving on to the second writer. Inoue Elums is a writer-curator who's published books of poetry, including Candy-Coated Unicorns and Converse All Over the Stars. Cool. Now, of course, I have done a little bit of research into not this play, but the other one that Shutigatwa saw that was apparently so good. He told Russell T Davies to get him on the job. I've also heard that Inoue was working with Chris Chibnall, but the plans fell through because of COVID, which again, I like that these are all new faces, these are all first timers, but they do still have history in Doctor Who. I really like his story. I haven't actually read or seen anything that he's done, but I've heard only positive things, and I read his Instagram post where he announced that he was writing and accidentally leaked the air date of the series. Whoopsie. And he seems like a really cool guy, so another big thumbs up win. Number 3, Pete Mateague. I like this guy. Yeah, Pete Mateague is cool. He's been in the Doctor Who fandom pretty much since the start of the Chibnall era, if not a little bit before that. Obviously, he's done episodes of the show, but I mostly know him from a bunch of those shorts and a bunch of those behind the scenes stuff that he's been doing. He did all of the collection box sets. He did a lot of Tales of the TARDIS. He's a very good organizer, which is why I suppose it's good that he's executive producing the spin-off show, The War Between the Two Longer Title, which should be releasing late this year. If I'm right, that's cool. Got Doctor Who early in the year and then the spin-off late in the year. I'm still torn on this spin-off, man. Is it gonna work? Is it gonna be good? Is the title just too long for it to work? I've got really high hopes, but at the same time, I've just got a really bad feeling about it. Maybe I'll make a video talking about my concerns. I mean, probably no one will give a shit, which is my fear with the show in general. But anyway, Pete Mateague, he of course wrote Kablam and Praxius. Kablam is an episode which I would considered the most misunderstood episode in Doctor Who history, in that a lot of people who complain about it haven't watched it and are insulting it off of out of context screenshots, maybe 2-second clips, and they don't actually watch the episode or know anything that it's talking about. I would call it willful ignorance, because they actively want to hate the Chibnall era, and even if someone said, no, you're wrong, you can actually like this, they still want to hold on to that, and also they're politically motivated, which means there's no point even really reaching out to them, because at that point they're just never going to see sense. But there's a lot of intentional misinterpretation of that episode to insult it. And then he also wrote Praxius, which is decent enough. Probably the weakest episode of series 12, but that doesn't really mean much. I mean, I'm sure he's gonna do great here. I really like him as a guy. I think he's really cool and funny, and I can't wait to see what he has in store with both this and the war between the land and the sea. Hooray! And writer numero 4, Sharma and Angel Woolfool originally hails from Manchester and won the inaugural Channel 4 New Writing Award that set her off on her screenwriting journey. I mean, that's just a great story. I really like introducing new writers, really new writers, like a new young writer. This is one of their first gigs, and from what I read on their IMDb page, they have experience in soaps, which is actually pretty good for the way Russell T Davies wants to write Doctor Who. Russell T Davies and I'm pretty sure Stephen Moffat were both soap writers. Chris Chibnall definitely is. A lot of people might be confused, well, why aren't they getting sci-fi writers? Doctor Who doesn't really work with sci-fi writers because, I mean, yeah, it has lasers, yeah, it has time travel, yeah, it has spaceships, but sci-fi writers, they usually run on like hard sci-fi rules on world building and all of that. Doctor Who doesn't really do things that way, and so, yeah, one could argue that soap writers are actually better for the show, at least in its current state. I can't really say that I'm massively positive for this person because I've never seen them in anything, but I'm very excited to see what they bring to the table. There's nothing negative there. It's just that with Pete Mateague, with Juno Dawson, I've got a frame of reference. With this writer, I don't really, but I'm still excited. I'm sure they're gonna blow me away, and at least the idea of them, the new writer coming in and all that, is something that really appeals to me. So I'm very excited to see where it all goes. I'm very excited with the new direction of this series in general. Series 2/Series 15/whatever the F you want to call it looks absolutely insane to me. It looks considerably better than Series 14, which I really liked. I really liked Series 14, but from what we've seen, from what we've heard, this just all sounds very good. sounds very nice. As much as I like Series 14, there were so many alarm bells ringing at every part of production where it's like, and 6 out of 8 episodes are written by Ross T. Davies, and there's gonna be blah 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 and blah blah blah, and the first episode is called Space Babies, and we're airing at midnight, and we're doing a seasonal reset and all of that. And I just kept thinking, oh no, oh no, oh no. What are we doing? I want you guys to succeed so bad. Why can't you just do it normally? And then with Series 15, Season 2, Season whatever the F, every single piece of news has come out. I've thought, oh, pretty good.
That one didn't age quite so well.
And I hope you all enjoyed the video. Those are my kind of last minute thoughts that I just put on. Those are my thoughts on all of the writers and on everything like that. I'm going to be uploading more videos, hopefully, now that I'm back at my home setup. Join me on this journey, folks. Hashtag DWFan91 for showrunner. Woohoo! And thank you all for watching. Thank you to everyone who commented and to everyone who I included in the video. I hope you all enjoyed the new format, and to everyone who supports on the Patreon, thank you so much. You guys are the real heroes. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.